Good day to my viewers and subscribers. Today's video, let me just zoom out all the way here. Okay. Today's video is going to be just a show and tell video only. Again, I apologize for not showing the repair itself of removing and replacing the front crankshaft seal on a 2006 Suzuki Grand Vitara with the 2.7 liter V6. Okay, so I put the carriage in front of the horse here already, meaning that I took everything apart, so I'm not showing the beginning. I'm kind of like showing when I took everything apart, and then I will be reassembling everything. But this will be some tips and tricks. I will also show you when everything's back together and show you that part as well. So I'm going to show the disassembly or the disassembled product first here. Okay, so what has to be removed? So here's the front of the engine there. Okay, for reference, that's the front of the vehicle right there. Okay, basically the fan shroud has to be fan shroud with the fan motors be removed. The air box has to be removed, and this air intake tube has to be removed. The coolant overflow has to be removed, and the power steering fluid reservoir just has to be unhooked. I actually do I have my light on? Yes, I do. It has to be, I just took the bracket out to give me some more working room here. And one note for the power steering here is when you look at the bottom right, I don't know if you can see that. Right, let me try to point to it. There's a bracket with a 10 millimeter head bolt right there. Remove that, and that just, as you can see, I'm going to get my hand out of the way there. That'll just give you a little bit, you can see that. It'll just gives you a little bit more wiggle room there. So that makes a difference there, okay? Obviously, when removing the fan shroud, just take it easy, not to bang up anything there. And of course, an old cereal box you can use to protect the, that would be the radiator core there. Super, super important. You don't want to be replacing that as well. And if you want to, you can. When I was farting around in here, I also got a little piece of foam here that I just put in like that. And that way, when I was working with the seal there and tapping it back, then that was an extra level of protection. So I would recommend it's very wise to do these protective measures beforehand before you start this job here. Okay, so a note here. I think the hardest part of this job was to actually remove this air intake, whatever, tube here. Okay, so this goes. You have obviously removed the air box first. The air box is held together by 3 screws or bolts, I should say. One there, and one right there. Okay, I'll show it when it's back in place. This air box tube sits in here like this. Okay, and this was the hardest part. You have to remove this, or else the shroud isn't gonna make it out here. So the tip here is to separate this. Okay, so this is the air tube, whatever nozzle or whatever snorkel comes off there. That's easy. But this right here, you see where that goes in? This presses onto that. Okay, so that goes to the outside of that. Okay, I don't know what this is, some sort of noise dampener thing anyways. And this, to remove this, I think, unless you can get your hand underneath here, try to remove it. It was a real challenge for me. So what I did, and it was, trust me, for me, it was worth the extra few minutes to do this. So reference right front tire here, or wheel. I removed the right front wheel, and then I removed these, the fender liner, these 6 push type clips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think that one is the 6th one right there. And then you can just move this out of the way like so, and voila, there's your prize right there. Okay, you can see that. I'll move it right there, and then you can just reach in. That's what you're looking at right there. You can get, this is a 2-person job, by the way. Somebody holds this, or it can also help you remove it over there, okay? So trust me, this is, for me, it was worth removing the wheel and these 6 clips. I mean, this took really nothing to do there, okay? The other trick that I want to show you, whoops, sorry, I don't know what I did there, is when you want to replace that marker light right there, okay, that's, well, that amber one there, it's actually like a clear bulb. The service manual says, oh, you got to remove the headlight assembly, which entails removing the front bumper cover there. No, you know what? You can just come out here, remove the wheel, remove these 6 clips, and guess what? That is your prize right there. And you can just clip that out, and then there is your bulb there. I think it's just the 194 push pin bulb there, okay? So I just wanted to show that, okay? No, you don't need to remove the whole headlight assembly. That's a real pain. So yeah, just a little trick there. So yes, remove the wheel and get a 2-person job there, and you can separate that. That's the hardest part of this job here. Okay, let's go over to the fan shroud here. So here's the fan shroud here. It's held in the bottom by just, it just like clips in there, so there's nothing to undo there. There are 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3, holding the fan shroud motors in place there. These are for the coolant overflow, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that's for the coolant overflow, and those are the 2 connectors. Super easy peasy, okay? So that is super easy peasy in my opinion, that. And then this comes out really, really quite easily, okay? But this by far was the hardest to remove there. Okay, so let me get that out of the way. Okay, let me just show you the crank seal here. I already have my new one put in there. So that's the new front crankshaft seal right there. Okay, yeah, the key, or the Woodruff key, you can't see, it's in the like maybe 4 o'clock position there. Okay, another trick that I can offer here is when you're removing that seal, okay, use a seal. You can use a seal removal tool like I have here. Okay, this is just an adjustable one. Now this is a Mac Tools brand, but doesn't matter what the brand is. This is actually adjustable. Okay, it has 2 different types. I used the one on the left, that one right there. I use that one, and I just put it into that position, and you can come around here like so and put a cover on the crank right there. Sorry, this is really hard to do one-handed here. This is really hard, okay? Put a piece of cloth on that and just come around here onto the side. So this is at the, what, 9 o'clock position? Let me see if I can get in there. And just slide that in there, and then you can just pop it out. It took a little bit of work here. I really recommend this seal removal tool right here, okay? Because it just, with this adjustable head, this makes life a lot easier. You can use a screwdriver, whatever you feel like. Just be careful not to nick the end of the crank right there, okay? Now, another trick is, I'll show you what to do. You can actually put, what I did is I actually installed the seal with the bottom first, and then I started tapping in at the top there. And that was no good, because then the bottom actually got pressed in too deep. You don't want that. No, it is maybe just a millimeter in from the timing cover case here. Okay, so it's almost flush. Okay, it's almost flush. It may be just a tad in. Okay, so very important. Don't hit it in too deep. Okay, so let's go over to the, let me grab my tool here. Let's go over here to the crank pulley here. Okay, so how did I remove the crank pulley here? Okay, actually, it wasn't that difficult. It wasn't that difficult. And when you remove the fan shroud, it's just way more easier to do it that way. I don't think you can remove it with the fan shroud in place. Okay, I use this this impact gun. If you have air, the Astro 1822. This is a stubby with a 19 millimeter half-inch drive, 6-point regular depth socket there. This worked wonders. I had it on 3, which is full reverse, and it took the crank bolt out in no time there. Okay, this is the picture of the crank bolt. Okay, looks like there was red Loctite on there. You can put a little bit of blue Loctite on there if you wish. I cleaned these threads, and I cleaned the inside of the threads on the crank as well with some brake clean. Shoved the towel in the hole and cleaned it up. So make sure that's really clean. Okay, so service manual says that, yeah, you can reuse this. Okay, I'll give torque values after. So how did I remove that? If you don't have air, that's fine, not a problem. This is a tool. Now I'm going to show for installation which tool to use here. This is a Gates, what is it called? I think a belly or a V-belt pulley holder, okay, that you can just put around here. Sorry, I can't show you this with one hand. You can put it around. I probably recommend the inside pulley because it's larger than the outside one here. Outside one there, or sorry, than the outside one there. And then you just follow the directions there. I think this is the way you put it in. And then when you're tightening the bolt, okay, excuse me, you want to go this way. If you're loosening the bolt, then you're going to go, I think it would be this way to the right, okay, if you're loosening it, okay. So that's one tool. I'll leave a link in the description. I bought this from Rock Auto. Now, the other option is you have two holes in here. This crank pulley is not press fit. It just slid off, okay. Tappy tap with a little rubber mallet hammer, and this slid off. In case this is stuck on, you're going to have to get a puller. That's a little, I didn't have to use that, so that's, I can't show that. But those are, you want to clean up the threads. Well, I mean, yeah, you can clean up the threads while this is on vehicle, of course. This is an 8mm by 1.25. Let me just confirm that. Yes, M8 by 1.25 is the thread pitch, okay? So you can use that to clean that up, put in your bolts, and then pull it off. Now, the other method you can use, this is an OTC branded Stinger right there. Sorry, this is upside down, 4754. I'll leave a link in the description on this tool. I'm not too sure which one I will use when I'm tightening the crank bolt, okay? And this just goes, this is their, just set it up like that. This is, I think, is the smallest pins there. And these pins just go into here, like so. And then you would just take your breaker bar and a socket and then either tighten it or loosen it, okay? So these are the two tools. I'll let you know which one, because I'll be assembling this today. In my next shot, I will show you which tool that I use, and I'll show you setup of it, okay? So you don't have air tools, that's fine, but you're gonna have to torque the crank bolt anyways, okay? So either that tool or that tool right there, okay? So let's go over to the pulley here. Sorry for the tensioner pulley for the alternator and the tensioner pulley for the power steering. Well, actually alternator, a water pump and crank, and that's power steering, air conditioning, and crank, okay? This, just note how it comes off. If you make a mistake, or I should say you don't know, you forget which side goes where, does it go this way or this way? Well, the round side here is where this dowel pin goes, okay? So the dowel pin goes in there. It only goes in one way. It doesn't go in the other way. It only goes in this way. And then you put this into the, let me just go over here, into this hole right there, okay? So make sure that's clean. You can put a little bit of anti-seize on that, or right there, okay? Right there. And make sure that bottom's in there, and that's not gonna ever seize in for you, okay? So that's the locating or dowel pin that I think I call it there, okay? And those are 8mm, no, those are, I think, 12mm head bolts, okay? Power steering tension, yeah, make sure you spin this and it's fine. This is the power steering one. This you can kind of put in either way, but I just made a note of it that this is how it got put in. I'll show how you tension this. You put in a 10mm, so that's a hex. You can maybe use an Allen as well, key, but I use the hex socket there. That's a 10mm, that's an impact, that's just a regular 10 mil, okay? So you put that in there. I'll show you the tension when I'm tensioning it in the next shot there. And then this is just a little 1/4 inch drive 10 mil, okay? And that's how you put how you tension that. But I'll show that in the next shot there. Okay, so I don't think I need to show anything else. Yeah, these are the belts in case you want to know what the belts are. I'm replacing mine anyways. They're old. They're whatever, 17 years old. Alternator belt. I decided to go again with Rock Auto. You can find this on Rock Auto 4K372. That's for the alternator. Well, I guess alternator water pump crank. And then the power steering, air conditioning, and crank is a 4K 423. Okay, so these are the old belts. Might as well replace the belts. Also, do the tensioners. If your tensioners are old, do them at the same time. So that's the advice I have here. Let me just show you the old crank seal, or the part number, I guess. So first, I'll show you the first. This is the old crank seal. Okay, you can see where I damaged it when I took it out, which is fine. Okay. What you do is clean of course, the bore of where this goes into the timing cover case. Okay. And what you can do is I applied a little bit of just some heavy duty wheel bearing grease to the outside edge, or sorry, the outside face of this seal, and then you can just push it in using both thumbs, nice and evenly. Okay, so that's, you don't have to hammer in. If you have to use a hammer, then obviously use something that's very small, but preferably not a metalhead, something that's maybe, I don't know what you call this, dead blow hammer or whatnot. So you don't want to damage the front part of the seal here when you're hitting it in. Okay, so you want to be very careful with that. Okay, obviously the back, they say fill that with some grease, or coat that spring there with some grease all the way around. Okay, and this is the part number there for 09283-45012. Rookie mistake. I destroyed a seal, and I thought if I wouldn't have had an extra seal, then I would have been in trouble. I would have been waiting. My advice, whenever you're doing these seals, always have at least another backup. So have two seals, one that you're replacing and one as a backup. Okay, super important. You don't want to be out waiting for it in case you destroy the seal that you're putting in, like for example I did. Okay, so that's it for the seals there. I recommend OE seals, original equipment seals, that you can buy on online. And torque values, last but not least. Sorry, this video is going really long here. Okay, torque value is the front crankshaft pulley is 108.5 pounds-feet. The alternator tension and tension pulley adjusting bolts, those are 18 pounds-feet. The power steering tension and tension adjusting bolts, both of them are 18.5 pounds-feet. And I torqued the lug nuts to 80 foot-pounds. I think the book says 72.5. So use your discretion. Don't do what I do, you know, the standard YouTube waiver stuff. Deflection of the power steering belt is 0.25 inches maximum between the power steering and the air conditioning belt pulleys. The deflection of the alternator belt is 0.35 to 0.39 inches maximum between alternator and water pump pulleys. Okay, so just a couple of notes there. Okay, sorry, I hope I covered everything here. You know, just cover that up. I'm going to be cleaning that with brake clean, so I don't want anything to go in there. That's why that little paper towel is there. Other than that, take your time with that. Take your time. Once the new seal is in, you're pretty well much home free, and that's it. So we'll see you in the next shot. Okay, a couple of other things that I forgot to mention here is there is a timing cover plug right there. Okay, originally I thought, oh, well, maybe that was leaking, so I replaced that actually twice, and then it was still leaking, so that's when I said, okay, it's probably the crank seal there. So probably this is not going to be leaking, but I mean, if you're in here anyways, okay, if it's not leaking, then fine, but if it is leaking, then probably a good idea to replace it. Okay, I'll leave up the part number for this in the description there for this plug there. Okay, so I just wanted you to be aware of that. You know, don't condemn the crank seal, okay? Got to verify it, okay? Because you could have two leaks, you know? My leak was coming from here, trailing here, and I thought it was this. But the nice thing is you can replace this. You just have to, I think, loosen the alternator belt, and you can get access to this. But so I just wanted to give you a heads up on that, okay? So before condemning that, you want to make sure this isn't leaking as well there. And the other point that I wanted to make is on the crank pulley, okay, so let's flip it up. This is where the seal rides, okay, right there. You can probably see it there, okay. So there's the notch there, so it only goes on one way. I would put just a very little bit of grease on the inside there, so keep that from seizing on in the future there. But really important to make sure that there are no grooves. Let me get my finger here. That all the way around, this is nice and smooth. There are no notches, nothing, because if this has a little bit of damage on it, or maybe even wear, then your new seal obviously is going to leak. So take some really fine sandpaper. This is, I think, 600 grit. Yeah, 600 grit, waterproof. This is really, really fine there. And then just prepare this, clean this, and prepare it for installation. Okay, obviously put a little bit of oil or grease on this before you install it. Okay, so I wanted to point that out. Make sure that surface all the way around is clean. There's no grooves, there's no notches or marks in there. Everything is smooth, or else obviously your seal is going to leak. Okay, see you in the next clip. Okay, note here, brain fart on my end here, of course. When I said the reflector or the marker, that's just a reflector there. The marker light is actually right there, and that's amber in color. Obviously, I can see. So no, it doesn't sit there. It sits right here. So this is what I showed you underneath there, where the service manual says you have to remove the whole headlight assembly. No, just remove those 6 clips that hold this fender liner in. Well, the 6 clips, well, because there's more clips, and then you can get at that bulb. So my bad there. I stand corrected. That is I think they call this a marker light or clearance light. That's the light right there. Not that one there. That's just a reflector. Okay, thanks. Okay, so here's the final product here. Let me just zoom out all the way here. Okay. And I just wanted to show you the air box here. Okay, so there is one bolt there, or I should say the air cleaner assembly. Yes, airbox air cleaner assembly. One bolt right there, one right there, and then one right over. Where's my finger? Right there. Okay, and yeah, that I can unhook quite easily. And then I think when you're removing this, I don't know what you call this, air intake. There's just 2 little clips there. You just turn that couple turns and then just pull them out. And then I don't know if you can see that, but right, oh, I don't think you can see that here, but right here, right there is where it connects together. Now I put some brake grease on that. On the inside there, so it'd be a little bit easier to remove. So once you remove the air cleaner assembly here, you can just hold this with one hand and then just grab this and then separate it. Okay, you don't want to break that. That moves. Okay, there's some wiggle room on that one, but just in case. And now, if you do remove it, then you don't have to remove the fender liner there, or partially the fender liner there, and remove the wheel and remove partial fender liner. But in case you don't need to do that, then just try this first, okay? And here's the tool. Nobody has ever showed this on any YouTube video that I've seen. So this is that tool that I showed you there. Now, unfortunately, I can't do this one-handed. I already have the belt installed there. So you would take that belt, put it on the outside one, so not the inside one. Inside one would be good, but then you have really no room for the handle. So put it to the outside one there, and then I have a piece of wood, so obviously the handle right there, what you see the handle right there, that's going to go above this piece of wood here. And then you can just let the handle or actually no, yeah, this would actually sit like this. And then if you're holding it with the handle right, let me just get this out. So you know how this works here. This is just a piece of 2x4 there, okay? You want it this long. I don't know how long that is, about 6 inches, 5-6 inches, okay? And then there's the handle right there, okay? And then you put this, come around here, okay? Of course, so that handle is over here. I can't show that because I'll go, maybe it won't fall off. Yeah, I guess, yeah, right there, it's not gonna fall off, okay? Right there. And then you would have the, then you would have that piece of wood there, okay? Because it's gonna start moving to the right, and you want to hold it to the left there, okay? So I'm sorry I can't really show that better here, yeah. So anyway, so there's the everything installed. It's again pretty easy there. Now I do want to make a note of this plug because I actually had, sorry for the noise there. That plug right there, the one that I showed you there, that's right there, okay, right there. I think Suzuki calls that a block, or sorry, a cylinder plug, It's actually obviously the front timing cover there. I actually had some trace of, okay, because I have oil dye in here, and I strongly recommend putting in a dye. And because it's fairly hard to tell if it's the crank seal or if it's that little plug there. Well, mine ended up being both, and I just replaced that. So what I recommend is, I really recommend putting in some oil dye, some glasses, and a flashlight. These are really not too expensive. And what I recommend is, this is that little plug there. If you're in there, you might as well replace it unless you know it's not leaking for sure, okay? Here's the part number. Suzuki part number 1121567 Delta 00. And as you can see, I had some gray, I think it's ultra gray silicone gasket maker just on the, just coated that very lightly, but that was still leaking. So, I mean, yeah, don't do what I do, right? Because whatever I do is wrong. This is just entertainment. You know, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, the typical DIYer here. Actually, DIY, I'm DIY, do yourself and not do it yourself. Do yourself and is me. And what I did is, this snaps in there, or it clicks in there, and you know, I just put a little bit of, and I'll maybe come back in a future video, or in the comments. Actually, it's easier. My editing skills are absolute crap here. So I coated that this time around. So change that cylinder plug. That's the bolt. I reused that one. I think that's M6 millimeter thread by 1 millimeter pitch. Okay, it looks like there's some factory Loctite on that. I'll give you the part number for that one. I just reused the old one. But this is what I used here in terms of a gasket sealing surface. Okay, so you have the Permatex Ultra Gray. Yeah, which is fine. That's what I used. You have something called Permatex Optimum Gray. Okay, which I had to buy because even though this is sealed, when I opened it up, I guess I shut it too, I closed it too, it's cracked there, you can see there, I don't know if you can see that, that's why it's garbage, so that dried out. So anyways, almost brand new tube, so be prepared to buy a new one, or make sure those work ahead of time. So what I did is, I actually bought this one here, the Permatex Optimum Max Flex, because this is maximum oil resistance and maximum flexibility for lightweight components. And on the back, it says here, I don't know if you can read that, but I'll put a link to Permatex website on this one. And it says, black gasket retains the highest flexibility while remaining resistant to oil and powertrain fluids, making it optimal for today's lightweight and premium components. Optimum Black provides superior performance during thermal cycling of parts and equipment, and is resistant to hardening, shrinking, and cracking. So adheres to dissimilar metals. So oil pans, transmission pans, valve covers, timing gear covers, thermostat housing, differential covers. So I decided to use this one, okay? Just like I said, I just put a little bit around it, and I let it sit for actually 48 hours. It says wait 24 hours before subjecting it to fluids. Of course, read the instructions, I think, excluding gasoline. So I waited actually 48 hours. So like I say, you know, I've had problems with that plug, so I recommend. I used ultra gray and that didn't work, so I'm gonna try this black and see how that works, and maybe report back to you in the comments there. So that's it for the replacement there. Again, I apologize for not showing the repair. I'm by myself here, and I just really wanted to give you my opinion on this and experience, not only opinion, but experienced opinion on replacing a front crankshaft seal on a 2006 Suzuki Grand Vitara with a 2.7 liter V6. Of course, my overflow is going to be installed back there, and I'm going to put some coolant in that. So I hope I was able to help someone with this, and I really appreciate my viewers and subscribers, and have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching.